What's good people? Welcome to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. Today we're going to be talking about my adventures with Superman, the animated show that just wrapped up on HBO Max. I'm very conflicted with talking about this show, and the reason why is because I'm very happy with the show. I think that the show played a very good run, very cool take on Superman. I enjoyed almost every episode. It didn't take me long to buy in, maybe 2 episodes and I was all the way in and ready to see anything that they wanted to tell us about this version of Superman. And while I was so happy with it and I enjoyed it so much, I still hesitate to talk about it because it's gonna be years, y'all, years before we get anything else from this show. And it's not just because of the time of production when it comes to an animated feature. It's really due to this writer strike and this actor strike that they got going on. Who knows when that stuff will get resolved and content can begin to be produced again. So while yes, we do have a very good season and I'm very happy that it came out the way it did, I enjoyed the entire run. It's like, when are we gonna see this again? It's possible it might be a full 2 years before we see anything else from this My Adventures with Superman. I feel like the groundwork that it laid for this version of Superman was really good. Knowing that he doesn't know anything about his Kryptonian origin. Like, I thought at some point, especially in that finale that I just finished watching, I thought at some point we would get more information, or at least Clark would get more information about his Kryptonian background. But it appears like we won't be getting any of that here. I tracked the discourse about the show throughout the season, and as I would watch people talk about the show on Twitter, a lot of the different speculation about the show was how much universe building will they be doing. If you remember the episode with Mr. Mxyzptlk, that character shows up and then he kind of zaps Clark into a bunch of different versions of Clark. And again, very cool stuff right there. I liked it. There's also a whole lot of other breadcrumbs in the show that lean towards this show having a bigger universe that they just haven't touched and went into yet. The idea that Vicky Vale in Gotham are a thing, and that she is an award-winning writer with the 0 Day episode. There's a whole bunch of stuff there that, like, hey, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in this universe that we as the audience don't know, and Clark and Lois don't necessarily know all the details or even discuss on a day-to-day basis. But you can absolutely tell me that there's a Green Lantern Corps here, and I would believe it. You can absolutely tell me that there's a version of Batman who is like 10 years older than all these characters, and he fought crime and he's been inactive for the last 10 years, and it would make perfect sense to me that these characters don't talk about it, don't reference it, it's not a big deal to them, and it's just something that goes on off screen in that universe, and that would make total sense with the way they kind of lay things out so far. I actually really enjoy the way that Lois is portrayed here and the relationship between Lois and Clark. I like the fact that she is not such a dummy that she can't put it together that Clark is Superman, so that's cool in itself. I also like Jimmy, but Jimmy was not very likable throughout the duration of the show. He was actually quite annoying through the first half of the season, and then as Clark revealed himself and Lois and Clark became more of an item, Jimmy kind of learned his role of, like, I will do what's important right now and then I will fade off into the background. And then I will pop back up when it's important and when it's necessary for me to be here and do something, and then I'll kind of fade back into the background. So all that stuff was cool. I like the portrayal of the relationship, Lois and Clark. I like the fact that Lois has some intuition. I like the fact that Jimmy grew as a character and started off in one annoying spot and then grew to more useful, and he's gonna pop in and out and have his moments. Now I will say the show, at least in my comic book knowledge and my understanding of the worlds of DC, I do think that this show took a risk and did some things that I'm not normally accustomed to. So this idea of the Council of Loises, never heard of it in any of the source material that we got comic book wise. Now maybe that showed up in a version of an animated show that I never watched because I'm not huge into the older 1990s and early 2000s animated DC projects, but I never heard of a Lois Council before. I like the way that they made her character more important and more dimensional than just this reporter who is obsessed with Superman and in love with Clark's Superman. That angle. They gave her some real skills fighting wise. They gave her some intelligence tech wise. They gave her a purpose as far as like being the linchpin that like stuck Clark to his own humanity. And when Lois is not in the picture, you see the unhinged versions of Clark. So that was cool. I liked it. And again, because I don't know that from any kind of source material, I feel like it's a little bit of a risk. But again, it's a well done risk, and I think it paid off. I think it was a good thing to do. I'm a little bit perplexed about the villainry because you read subtitles, and I'm reading the subtitles and I see Brainiac flash on the screen. So maybe there's a version of Brainiac that is under control of Zod, because it does feel as though, saying that the Earthlings are gonna kneel. It's like kneel before Zod. That's what that is. I'm imagining, they are Kryptonian, they are linked to Kryptonian tech, but there's a version of Brainiac that has been subjugated. So that's different. And I'm ready to see what they do with it. But again, I'm ready to see it in the next few months, not 2 years from now, after we get writers under contract and we get actors under contract and then we get voiceover recorded and then we get animations drawn, and 2 years from now we finally get the follow-up to a great show. Like, I really am annoyed by that situation. I think this Superman show was excellent. I think the Superman show was great, and it just frustrates me that we got such a good thing and who knows when we're gonna be getting it again. That's the thought that I have in relation to the show. Good show, really enjoyed it, but who knows when we'll see a follow-up. That's all I got for this one, y'all. I enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Please enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.